Feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp tank.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Shrimp Tank from our very own studio, if you can call it that, studio.
Yeah.
Here in the rainy metropolis of central Pennsylvania. I am your host, Taylor the Great Northern Prawn Ranker, here today with my co-host Nathan Pandalis Borealis Shrimpus Imboden.
What in the world?
That's an actual type of shrimp, brother.
I know it is, but what does it mean?
I have no clue.
You usually back up the scientific.
Well, Pandalis Borealis, it's actually a northern shrimp, and it literally is known to light up like the northern lights. So there you have it.
Cool.
I did do my research.
Thank you.
Now, let me set the record straight. The Shrimp Tank is a podcast where we have the luxury, and I mean it's a luxury and an honor, where we interview the best, the brightest business owners, business leaders, entrepreneurs from all across central PA. We honor those who did build that. We honor those who continue to build that. This is where book smarts meets street smarts, okay? It's by business owners. It's for business owners. Now, we have some great guests of a very regionally famous, well-known, respected business. So, but before we get to that, first you can find the broadcast at www.shrimptankpodcast.com/Central PA. Now, we have Ron and Tonia Leitzel Ulsh. Ron Leitzel of Mountz Jewelers. We're going to bring them on in just a second. But before we do that, Nathan, could you talk a little bit about why we're here in this studio?
Yeah,
this is cool.
If you listen to us normally, you don't usually hear all this background noise because we're sitting in our much quieter studio in our office. But we are here at the Business and Industry Night for the West Shore Chamber of Commerce at the Radisson in Camp Hill. I think I heard 84 maybe businesses that are being showcased tonight via the Chamber. So what a cool opportunity for members, I distinguished that earlier.
Yep, members
of the
only.
West Shore Chamber.
Yep.
To be able to showcase their business, set up a booth. Tonight's theme is board games. There's some really creative and cool
Right, like look at the leadership Cumberland.
It's amazing. And you are going to hear yelling in the background every once in a while. We got wheels spinning. We got contests going on. But, again, we're talking, and we have a partnership with the Chamber. And one of the things we talk about with the Chamber partnership are benefits the Chamber can provide, not only its members, but then also guests on the podcast. And one of the benefits is being able to participate in this Business and Industry Night. So this is our first year participating in the Business and Industry Night. So we feel fortunate to be able to interview other Chamber members, other staples in the community who are showcasing their business here today and get an opportunity to step away for a little bit and talk about their business.
I have to say that I do believe Mountz may have just sort of one-upped everyone with their showcase. They brought Miss Pennsylvania
It's true.
to showcase.
It's true.
Now, that's marketing. That's brilliant.
I did petition to wear a gown tonight, but I was strongly vetoed. That neckline will not work
sure that was
well
by
on
you,
me.
right?
Yeah, I vetoed that.
No, Tonia, that was everybody.
Tonia, that was not happening. No way.
All right. Well, let's welcome you guys to the show. Why don't you just give a brief introduction to yourselves personally, and then we'll talk about some of the stuff we were talking earlier about how the business got started and how it transformed to what it is today.
Okay. Well, first, when you said book smarts, I was going to get up and walk away because I have zero book smarts. That's the first problem I saw. Right
By the way, join the club.
Yeah.
Street smarts, brother. Yeah. Street smarts.
And well, anyway, I'm Ron Leitzel, and 40 years ago, we founded, we took over Mountz Jewelers in 1979, and Vaughn and Jackie Mountz actually founded the business in 1973.
53.
1953.
Oh, wow.
So it's 26 years old at that point. Okay, gotcha.
And so in 1979, the Leitzel family bought out Vaughn and Jackie Mountz and took over in Carlisle. Our original stores were in Millersburg and Likens, Pennsylvania.
Hey, my neck of the woods.
Small.
I'm a Halifax boy.
Small guy.
Oh,
yeah.
I am.
We're from Millersburg.
Yeah, so there you go. That's our hometown.
Yeah.
And our uncle started the business back in 1949. So this is actually the 70th year that the Leitzel family is in the jewelry business.
Very cool.
Okay.
And, so that's our father ended up buying out his brother back in 1967. And that's pretty much when I entered the business full time. And then 79 is when we went to Mountz. So that's how to.
Can you guys share a little bit? Because I was unaware of some of the history, the more of the housewares, I guess you'd call it, at the business. I mean, I think of it as, like I said earlier, I love this. By the way, listeners, we got to make sure you understand. We spoke with the Webster's Dictionary experts earlier today, and it's official now. If you look under the word bling, it's no longer spelled B-L-I-N-G. It's now M-O-U-N-T-Z, so just put that out there.
Fact.
Thank you for that.
Can you go back? Because I was intrigued by the company did, I would call it housewares?
Yes.
Well, I can start out by when I walked into the business in '79 in Carlisle. They had 8 or 9 grandfather's clocks that we sold. There was
Wow.
china and crystal.
Cool.
Flatware, and that was something that became part of the bridal marketing, where brides would register their product.
Right.
And over the years, jewelry stores got away from that, went more towards the department stores.
Yep.
And so over the years, we brought that down because it took up a lot of space. It took up a lot of boxes. It took up a lot of gift wrapping, because we gift wrapped everything.
Oh, yeah.
So that's basically.
Well, I got to touch on something, because as a business owner, there's the working in your business and then there's the working on your business, right?
Yeah.
So what a lot of budding business owners and entrepreneurs might not realize, what Ron just said, is real estate, right? Think about that. You had to have the real estate to carry all that, warehouse all that, and that's a whole other headache.
It is.
And
It
most
is.
folks
Yeah.
who don't own a business,
Still today.
right?
And Tonia's good at that, talking about what the real estate is worth when we talk to vendors. So Tonia can touch base on that a little bit.
What's your role now, Tonia? Because you came in, what'd you say, 89?
In 1989.
Okay.
I mean, I worked in my father's store growing up. I used to help make bows in our house and tag jewelry. Our father had in his store wallets, suitcases, cookie jars, everything.
Wallets,
Lamps,
all of it,
lamps,
yeah.
pet rocks.
Yeah, a little bit of everything. So, but I joined Mountz Jewelers in 1989. I went to the Gemological Institute of America in
Oh, wow.
Santa Monica, California.
So you brought some of the book smarts.
So,
Gotcha.
She did.
Excellent.
not a whole lot.
All
but
of them.
Ah.
Street smarts gets you a lot farther in business.
Yep.
It does.
Yep.
It does.
But the way that we look at business today with the real estate and the cases, we're always talking about the rent. So per linear foot, what has to be produced out of that foot of case space so that it can take up the space
Yeah.
in the case,
But
because
of
we only
course,
have
right.
so many cases to put the jewelry into in the
Right.
store.
Well, if you're not in that business, you wouldn't go to that micro of a level of thinking,
Right.
right?
Right.
You wouldn't.
No.
I wouldn't. Yeah, but it's shelf space. It's,
Well, the only other industry where I'm aware that there's such sensitivity is the auto industry. You know, they're very sensitive to so many square feet, so many. I'm very curious. I'm going to go backwards a little bit. When was the decision made to focus on jewelry and watches and Rolex? Was that an evolution, or was that like a?
It was an evolution for sure.
One of the things that I thought about in doing this with Mountz Jewelers in downtown Carlisle, because there's a single store. Our square footage was only like 700 square feet, so we were very limited in space.
Wow.
And
Very small.
our biggest turn was the jewelry and watches, and the the china and the crystal took up a lot of space. And when I wanted to remodel, I made the decision that needed to go because it wasn't turning fast enough to make it worthwhile. So that was
Okay.
the evolution through the 80s that we made that decision.
And did you? At what point did, because your northern Millersburg, Likens, those locations are no longer
Correct.
there.
Our father passed away in '02, and at that time when we closed those
Okay.
two stores up, the decision was made that we were focusing on the stores in Carlisle at the time, and in '02 we actually had all the Mountz Jewelers in place by that time
Okay.
down here, and we just decided to close them up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which seems, I know the area as well. I actually purchased this small book of business in 1991 based out of Dalmatia.
Yeah.
So I know the area. I'll
Yes.
tell you that story offset. But it was a financial business, and
Big
that's
run.
what brought me here. Yeah.
Big Run.
So
My
I,
grandparents lived on or along the what they call the Big Run, right before
Yeah.
the coal. Is there a coal factory right there?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
That's where my grandparents grew. Well, still live there today.
It
Actually.
was under Cuffler Coal, if you want to know the name.
yeah. So that makes sense to me that you would just say, okay, because even folks from that region, if they're buying jewelry or a nice watch, are often still going to come to the Harrisburg area.
Yes, growing
right?
up in
So-
Millersburg, I mean, we always went to the Colonial Park area to go
Right.
shopping.
Exactly.
There's
Yeah,
no
so-
place to shop,
So-
over the mountain.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Strikes me as a good strategic business decision, because you probably didn't lose those customers,
Right.
but you didn't have to maintain that real estate and that
Right.
headache.
Right.
Okay. So what are your roles today?
Well, today my role is winding down and not working as much.
I like it.
Congratulations.
But,
I like it.
but somehow, when I'm in Pennsylvania, I go to work every day,
Yep.
and I love the business. I love the challenge. I love the entrepreneurial side of it.
Yep.
So I'm the CEO and control the board meetings, and Tonia, she works day to day. She controls everything that goes on within Mountz Jewelers internally, day to day.
Right. So I'm the president of the company.
Okay.
So I allow Ron to basically do whatever he wants to do.
Wow.
That's good.
That's a good thing. When you get my age, you should be able to do that. Yes.
He's worked very hard to get there, that's for sure. But I do trust him with many of the decisions that we make every day in the business.
Yeah.
Is that rare? I mean, it strikes me as that's a difficult. There are families that work functionally well, and we've seen this, and some that don't.
Well, it's interesting because we're 18 years apart
Okay.
in age, and growing up, Ron and I never really lived together. So when I was born, he was 18.
Right, gotcha,
Yeah.
So he was always more of a father figure to me. We didn't really know each other growing up. When I decided to come into the business, at first I worked at my father's store part of the time and worked at our Carlisle store part of the time. And then gradually I moved the whole way to Mountz Jewelers.
Huh.
So
and we got to know each other as adults.
by '89, was your role then? What were you then? The president? Were you?
He was the only one running the show.
The only one running the show. Okay.
My title was workaholic.
Workaholic. Gotcha. Okay.
There it is. Yep.
Well, the reason I ask is my grandfather, who's both my hero and my goat, he started a business in York, Pennsylvania. It's a long story. I won't tell you the whole story. His dad died, drove a milk truck, but then in the 40s, during World War II, he decides to start a furniture and appliance business. So he's a hero.
Right.
Zero schooling, none. And he does this business, and by the time I come along, it's doing millions of dollars of revenue in York, PA in the 70s, and he's on the board of the York Bank. However, when it came to succession, he was pretty much a fool.
Yeah.
He brought his oldest son in. Oldest son had worked there for 15 years, and then he brings his youngest son, ignores the three daughters, brings his youngest son in, who's not as hardworking, and makes them equal partners. Right. So what I'm getting at is I'm intrigued.
I just did a Harvard business study. I was at Hearts on Fire. They had a training in Boston, and the business study was exactly that.
Huh.
It was.
Yeah. I mean, so to have a culture, so that was something that happened yours kind of organically? I mean, it wasn't like mom and dad fueled this, or did
Not
they?
necessarily.
The situation was, I was building jewelry stores. At that time, I had a jewelry store in South Carolina. I had Mountz Jewelers. There were 3 or 4 at the time. I had Bailey's Diamond Center. I had a bunch of stores. I had a lot of balls in the air.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Tonia was God sent that she could come in and start in the business and someone I could rely on and trust. And she started out at the very bottom, because my first motivational talk to her was, you come in here working, I just want you to understand that family's families and business is business, and I'm all business.
Wow.
We were raised that way. I mean, it always was. We never
it.
took business home other than tagging jewelry at the kitchen table. But other than that, it was always separated. So when I came into the business, I first was doing appraisal work because of the knowledge that I had from the Gemological Institute.
Okay, yeah.
So I started doing appraisals and then learned the business from the bottom up.
How many locations are there now?
3.
3, okay.
Yeah.
Yep. So this always intrigues me. Who does the buying? How is that? That's an amazing.
I just found this out.
I do a lot of the buying. I mean, Ron is involved when we go to some of the shows. I just got off the train. I just got back from New York at 3 o'clock today.
Well, thanks for sharing some time with us. Appreciate it, truly.
So I was in New York yesterday and today for 2 appointments buying for spring already.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, you told me there's usually 2 big shows a
Correct.
year.
Well,
for
there's
the season ahead. Well,
for fashion jewelry called Fashion Week. Right. So in the spring I go and I buy for the fall, and in the fall I go to buy for the spring. But the biggest jewelry show is the end of May into June, and that is in Las Vegas. And Ron is always part of that with me, and we go there for about 8 days, and we have appointments pretty much all day and check out all the new product as well.
Do you handle most of the watch buying as well?
So
how's that done?
It depends on the brand.
That feels like a bit of a different animal.
It is different. I mean, Ron is actually a watchmaker.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
By trade.
By trade. So when Tonia was born, I left and went to school and became a horologist, by the way, and that's with an H.
Yep, I got you. Yep.
Good clarification.
Which is the science and study of watchmaking. So,
yep.
So that's one thing that I did do. And before I went into the service, I got drafted. It was 1969, 1969, 1970, and Vietnam was hot and heavy. So I went away for that for a while.
Yep.
And so I never really was around. That's one reason I missed Tonia growing up. But the watchmaking, watch side of it was always kind of my baby, and having Rolex and Tag Heuer and some of the watch lines that we have now We focus on it, and that's why we have Rolex, because it's the best watch
right.
out there.
I wish
Yeah.
I'd have known you guys. My wife bought me a Monaco 2 or 3 years
okay.
ago. I truly regret not knowing you then, because I certainly would have loved to do that business with you. But
Yeah.
I'm a watch lover, have always been. So
Well, we have watches, so come
I'll
on.
be in.
And you missed it. 3 years ago, we gave those away. No,
You really lost it. You really lost it.
I'm
So-
a little slow.
So do you guys make any custom jewelry, or is it
We
all
do.
design? Okay.
yeah.
We actually have a custom CAD machine in all 3 stores, and we
Oh.
have an expert who works with you with design, and it's a 3D CAD design on a computer.
Interesting.
So we can send the image to you. You can see it in all dimensions, and we can, change it on the fly on the computer, which is wonderful, and
Yeah.
then have it produced for you. So you can come in with jewelry that you already own, and we can redesign the jewelry you have.
Okay.
Or we can start from scratch with all new gemstones and whatever you have in your mind.
That's awesome.
Well, I hate to say this, but after my divorce, my wife actually went back to the jeweler and said, "Hey, I have this. I don't know, I forget who it was at the time, but can I use these stones?" And they did a great job, and it helped. Actually, it helped dissolve the marriage a little more kindly, because
Right.
they were able to put that capital to work and make her happy. So,
Yeah.
okay, I didn't know that. I didn't
Yeah.
realize.
Yeah, we have all the services at the store. So, again, I was always an I was
There
an
it is.
appraiser when I
Someone
started.
won.
But we have certified gemologist appraisers, which is the highest level you can get in education
Okay.
as an appraiser. So I
Okay.
have that certification as well. We have other people at our store who also do that. So we do appraisals in the store. We do restringing. We have 4 goldsmiths and jewelers who
Oh,
do
wow.
jewelry work. We have a watchmaker
Wow, so
I
you do
would-
it all, and I
and
know
custom work.
you've talked about that's part of how you differentiate yourselves is in the expertise of your people, the level of knowledge they have, and just bringing that highest level of commitment and dedication to what they're doing. But do you have a specific requirement for every employee that comes on that's going to work in whatever role? They have a minimum education requirement or whatever they have to,
Not
they
at
have
all.
to hit?
No, not at all. Nope.
It's
One
just
of
all
the-
self-done. They all want to do that stuff?
Well, some are people that we hire are already in the industry. Some are not. But
Yep.
we find that the ones that are in the industry, when they come to us, it's almost like entry level for them from where they came from to where they are now.
Yeah,
And
so
we
they're-
have, we
it's
have
a step
now.
up.
they're
They don't realize
real
the
big.
learning curve when
Yeah.
they come into
Yeah.
our business.
Okay.
So one of our trainers says at a level of ours, when you have all the designers we have and all the expectations from the customer walking through the door,
Yeah.
that is about a 3-year learning curve.
Huh.
So, by the
Wow.
way, this is why I love doing these interviews, because I just learned something about your business I didn't know. I knew it was capital intensive in terms of the product. Not cheap to put stones or gold.
Right.
Or, what I didn't realize is how human resource intensive it was. The talent, right?
Oh, my gosh.
They don't.
Yeah.
A goldsmith doesn't work for free.
Right.
No, not
Right.
at all.
Right.
So, wow.
And
We
walking
can't-
by is our first hire, Ron's very first hire. She's been with us for 38 years.
There she is.
All right.
We'll all give a nice wave.
That's
That's
Carol.
awesome. Great.
Welcome to the show, Carol.
All right, so you guys just celebrated 40
Yep.
and you did this really cool campaign in, was it August?
Well, it's still going
It's
on.
still
We're coming
on.
to the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so talk
Inspire
about that
40.
a little bit. Okay, awesome. Talk about that a little bit. Who came up with that idea, and then what are you doing with it?
Well, we both did. Everything that we do is kind of a we thing. She may say, Tonia will say something, and I'll take and run with it, or I'll say something, and she'll run with it, and then all of a sudden the creativity goes into play.
Yeah.
And I've always liked the marketing side of it anyway.
Okay.
So we wanted to do something beyond just having an event, having a sale,
Yeah.
and just saying, it's our 40th anniversary.
Right.
Well, we really believe in giving back to the community. We've given to last year over 100 different charities.
Wow.
And we focus on that as our part of our culture to give back. So this year we thought, well, how about we come up with something like Inspire 40 is how we ended up with
Yeah.
the title.
Yeah.
We had a lot of things in between. And the Inspire 40, we're going to recognize 40 individuals or groups that not only inspire us, but inspire other people, inspire the community, inspire the world. I mean, the people that we have met, that we have recognized, have truly touched our hearts with many, many different things that they do in all avenues. And it wasn't that we went out and looked at customers. We went out and actually truly looked for people. That
Some of the people we had
inspired us.
never met before, so we asked the employees if they had any thoughts. We had some
Oh, yeah.
outside
Great.
people who were giving us ideas, so we really went out and
I think it's brilliant. I've actually
researched
been
it.
following it on
Yeah.
LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So I know it's something that's pushed out through LinkedIn or covered through LinkedIn. So I've seen the pictures with the different inspirational folks.
And Tonia just touched on something that is, I think, very relevant. You said we asked our employees because they're the ones that are also in the front line.
They're our biggest asset, truly.
Exactly.
When we're talking about anything, our employees are our biggest asset.
Yeah.
We take it very seriously, and when we hire people, we want them to feel like they're part of our family.
Yep.
So how many employees do you have in total?
We have 41 employees.
And that's spread out between all
between the three stores.
Yeah. Wow.
But I tell you, the foundation of Mountz Jewelers is built with the structure of the employees.
Okay.
If we couldn't do and build without having that. When I had the one store in downtown Carlisle, a salesman said to me, he said, you got to learn to trust somebody if you want to grow and believe in their ability to do something.
Yep.
And obviously I did that and was able to do that. And once you get that first store going, you get the second one, trust, and then you start really realizing how much you have to rely on the people you're employing.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, my wife and I just spent 2 weeks in our Tampa, Florida home. Now, we're connected when we're there, and we're doing some work, but the firm runs beautifully. It's the same thing. And that was 30 years ago, I learned the same lesson. You have to trust, and then you have to trust the next one, then the next one. You strike me, by the way, your brother strikes me as an entrepreneur who just happens to be in the jewelry business.
You are correct.
Is that did I get close?
Nail
I'm just
on the
listening.
head
I'm
right
like,
there.
if it weren't that,
It'd be something else.
it'd be something else.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm not going nuts. I could sniff
No,
that out. At
You
least.
are correct.
So the internet.
I was going to ask.
The big boom was obviously way before today.
Yeah.
But how has that changed your industry? Has it created pricing issues with you? I mean, you get people that. I mean, you said it about people can go online and shop for what they want and get delivered right to their store, but that creates a level of competition in certain regards too. So what
With
have you
gift
seen?
items, I think it's a lot more of that type of buying
Yeah.
because people can just find a style number of a bowl and order a bowl and give it as a wedding gift.
Yeah. Mike, okay
Okay.
there? Yeah, it's falling apart a bit.
Uh-oh.
There we go.
There you
I think
go.
we're
All
all
right.
right.
There you go.
Got it,
There you go.
got it.
I'll get you back there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
The colossal
Okay.
shrimp fixed it. The Borealis shrimp.
So
But with jewelry, we have found that people still want to touch it and hold it. I mean,
right.
it's truly something that's going to be passed down through generations. You want it to be a special time, and we try to build those relationships in the store so that we have the loyal clients who come back. And that, again, goes back to why we give so much back to the community, because if it wouldn't be for our loyal clients who live in our community, we wouldn't have made it 40 years.
Yeah.
Customers are so much more educated today
Right.
than they ever were, and they can
Right.
do that because of the internet. And of course, I find we're all more educated today because we have access to so many things that we can learn.
Yep.
And the customers that come in, like Rolex, they know pretty much as our salespeople that work and
Not
sell.
quite, but
Yeah.
But a high level.
But, no,
They've done some research
Yeah,
before
but
they
usually
show
it
up.
takes 5 years before somebody buys a Rolex. They've researched it for 5 years,
Yeah.
they say.
That's like average. People want a
Interesting.
Rolex eventually.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So they want it, then they start looking at it, and
Yeah.
they research it before they actually make the commitment to making that purchase.
But the point being, this
Wow.
is what they do. And they come in, they're very well educated. So
Yeah.
that's why we have to have a higher standard for our employees to make sure that they can work with customers that know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Right, because they're not coming in necessarily and getting you two.
Right.
They're
No.
getting some other representative of the firm who'd better know.
Right.
Like, I'm thinking to myself, if I walk in and I've sized up a $20,000, $30,000, $50,000, $10,000 watch for 5 years, and your salesperson or representative is kind of a dunce,
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not
So are
going to
they.
happen.
So are they.
There you go. Yeah.
I like that. So,
So
are they.
again,
That's
that
good,
takes
right?
us all back to the beginning when we were talking about the education that we expect by our staff in the stores.
Yep.
I mean, again, we work with them. We don't just expect them to go out and learn it on their own.
Yeah.
We bring trainers in.
Yeah.
We work with them one-on-one. We want them to be able to provide that customer service that you will never, ever get on the internet.
I was going to ask
that's
about
true.
that. How
Yeah.
do you do the education? Do the
So it
manufacturers?
depends.
How does that work?
So
How do you-
some manufacturers have their own training staff that
Okay.
will come in. We always do off-site training as well. So 4 times a year, our entire team is off-site, and we bring in different speakers. So it may be product-based, it may be salesmanship, it could be customer service, but we're off-base, and everybody is there for training. So that's 4 times a year. And then in-store, we're constantly having our vendors come in and talk to us. And then we also, as I just said, I was at Hearts on Fire, which is headquartered in Boston.
Okay.
So that was 3 days in Boston, and they bring in speakers from all over, all industries. So Harvard was there. The owners did a Harvard business study. Gary Vee was there. I'm sure you know who that is. One of Gil King was there.
Wow.
So they bring in some heavy hitters.
Yeah.
And then they have smaller classes talking about marketing and other things going on in the world. So we had 8 employees there learning.
I have one important question because we're going to probably have to wind down here in a little bit.
Well,
but
we'll hit
one-
some chamber questions.
Yeah, we'll get
quickly.
to hang on. So most people see you today, and I'm going to make an assumption. Oh, look at Mountz; they're so successful. Life is so good; it's so wonderful. But as a business owner myself, I know that ain't always how it is, right? Can you talk about, or are you willing to share a little bit about one of the tougher times in the business? A recession, maybe. I don't know. A squabble.
Well,
I think it's helpful for budding entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
particularly to hear, or other business owners to hear
Right.
that. Yeah, it's not all rosy over there either.
my philosophy has always been when there's a downturn or a weakness in anything, it's a buying opportunity or a selling opportunity of something. As an example, if you go back to any of the downturns that we've had, that when you call them recessions or whatever, even 07, 08, 09, it opened up opportunities for us. We escalated our buying gold, diamonds, watches off the street. We brought in lower price points, which is Pandora, and Pandora turned out to be an incredible boom for us.
Yeah.
Okay,
But we ended up growing those years 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 because we made that shift to take care of the things that customers really wanted at that time, and we weren't afraid to offer services that the customers wanted.
Well,
it's like our guest said, last guest, be adaptive.
Yeah, be
right?
adaptive.
Right.
You have to.
Yeah.
But you also mentioned something. You said you ramped up your buying, which also tells me you have to be somewhat prepared to be able to do that. You can't be just cutting things razor thin and then have something like that happen, and then all of a sudden be able to.
I mean, one thing that Ron's always taught me is that the business comes first. I mean, we're not people who take everything out of the business. You have to have a financially stable business to survive those hard times.
Yeah.
And the buying I was talking about is buying off the street, where customers wanted to sell their product, like the gold, and that's a sale also because they're selling to us, and we make margin on that.
Sure.
Yep.
And then we sell it to refiners, or if it's a diamond, we can actually recut and put it back in inventory. There's things that we can do with things that people want to get rid of.
Huh.
Yeah.
You know? So that's where I'm saying the buying side of it goes, and then finding the right price point of things that the customer might want. That's why I use the example of Pandora.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's something that Tonia just touched on. I want to amplify this. When we work with business owners, because your brother apparently has known this from the get-go, value versus current income. Value versus current income. Really good business owners innately get that create value in the business, don't just bleed it. And so it's something that we see less
And that's
successful
why
business owners haven't figured that out yet.
Exactly, and that's why generational businesses don't succeed.
Yep.
Yeah.
They just want the current
Right.
check.
Right.
So
Yeah.
kudos to you
Yeah,
for that.
very much so. All right, well, let's talk chamber a little bit because we are, if you haven't heard from all this background noise, we are in a chamber function. So you guys have been longstanding supporters of and members of the West Shore Chamber, correct?
Yes.
So when did you first start getting engaged with the chamber?
Oh my gosh, it would have been back in the '80s sometime because we were in Carlisle. I was part of the chamber in Carlisle. Was on the board at one time, and then when we opened up in Camp Hill, which was in the late '80s, we became members of the West Shore Chamber back in that time, and have always been. And the Chamber of Commerce is instrumental in really keeping the business world active together. Like we meet all these other businesses here tonight, which is so wonderful that you don't get to see during the year,
Right.
And we find opportunities to be with them.
Yeah.
There are at least 30 here, Ron, I didn't know existed. I hate to say it.
No, but that's what happens.
Exactly.
Or I kind of vaguely heard the name, and I'm like, oh.
That's why
okay.
we're here, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, no, Mountz I knew. I can't, that was not well enough, apparently, but yeah.
Your wife will get to know us very well.
Oh, yes, yes.
yes.
Well, I made sure
Yes,
that she
you
met
did.
you. I was trying to make that introduction.
You know
before
why she's not here right now? She's over at the
She's at the
booth.
store, yeah. No, so I think she went right to the
shopping.
store. She's
Yeah.
going to pick some stuff up, yeah. So how long have you been participating in the Business and Industry Night specifically, and why do you participate in this event?
It's been ever since I've been in the business.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
So 30.
I mean, I started
yeah.
in '89, and the Camp Hill store opened in '87.
Okay.
And I came over to the Camp Hill store as a manager in 1999. And at that point, this was and still is, a very big deal.
Yeah.
It's one of the most exciting
It is,
nights.
yeah.
All of my employees want to come and work this event because they have so much fun. We
Yeah.
bring in
Yep.
Miss Pennsylvania, obviously,
Yeah.
so all the men want to work the event.
Yeah.
No comment.
No comment.
No comment.
No comment.
comment.
No
You're
comment.
being recorded here.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. That's great. So if there are people who have not become a man, I think you hit on one of the biggest benefits. Yeah, the chamber can offer you some benefits that they may be able to, if you're a smaller business, that they may be able to outsource to. But one of the biggest benefits is the connections, the relationships
Yeah.
that you can develop through this. Is that why you continue to come back year after year and find value in it?
Well, it's all of the above. It's not just one thing that the chamber offers. There's so much that they offer, but this is one of the highlights because we get to rub elbows with all our peers, our other business
Yep.
people in the community,
Yeah.
and you can see the fun and games. Everybody really
Yeah.
grabs hold of this thing and plays with it and has a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And it's important for the businesses to succeed in our community because, again, if they succeed and they have their employees being paid, then it comes back
Right.
to us. I
All-
mean, that we're all in it together.
Well,
I
I've
mean,
been saying this all afternoon at the risk of getting hit. One of our presidents used to say, "The business of America is business,
Yeah.
not politics. The
Yep.
business of America is business." I think we've forgotten that a little bit. I value. My dad was not a business owner, but he's the president of a steel company. Started as a nothing. You hear my grandpa's story. And so my father would drive. He would drive from the west side of York or the east side of York to the west side and do it on fumes. He would literally, once he ran out of gas, because he wanted to deal with the guy who opened the Atlantic Richfield station in the sticks by our house.
Yeah.
Right.
And that taught me something. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what happens here is you get
Yeah.
this community. And he never told me that. I just observed it.
Yeah.
So he went out of his way to do business with the guy who took that risk.
Yep.
So
Yep. That's awesome.
it's true. We try to use local businesses whenever we can for
I
all
do.
the events that
Yeah.
we do.
Yeah.
And we hope that everybody does the same because, again, if our business in this area starts to fail, we all fail.
Yeah.
by the way, is one of your stores considered your flagship?
Well, Camp Hill has become. It was Carlisle when we
Yep.
were there. Camp Hill, and the main reason is because Tonia and our offices are now there. The marketing is there.
Okay.
So the second floor is where we are for our
Where all
offices.
your
Gotcha,
admin staff
okay.
is. Okay. Very cool.
It's the
Well,
home office.
I don't want to stop this, but that to me brings up a good opportunity. Maybe when it's less noisy, maybe we can have you in for round 2 because there are a ton of questions we could ask you.
Oh, yes.
Again, at a later date at our more quiet studio, and there may be some beverages and some other fun things involved. But for those people out there, if they're under a rock and they haven't yet figured out how do I get a hold or find out about Mountz, what's the best way for them to do that?
So we have a website, MountzJewelers.com. We do sell online as well. You can obviously contact us anytime that way. We have our phone numbers are on the website. Our addresses are on the website. Easy to find each location. So either Carlisle, Camp Hill, or Harrisburg.
Awesome.
Well, this has been a privilege. It's been a lot of fun. And it's getting noisy. So there's people winning stuff all over.
All
the
over,
place,
right.
And I'm having a little FOMO. Is that what they say?
Well, go
Yes.
play.
Fear-
We'll wrap
yeah.
up
fear
here.
of
You go
missing out.
play games.
No, I'm just kidding. But thank you so much for being on the show and giving us a little bit of an inside look.
Thank
at
you,
Mountz
Tonya.
Jewelers.
Appreciate
you.
it. Big time.
It was
Thank
really
you.
our
Yeah.
pleasure.
And,
Stay out of
maybe,
trouble,
like I
young
said,
man.
Maybe we'll
Thank
have
you.
you on again, get a little bit more intel if you're willing. But for now, thanks for being a part of the Chamber, for being a part of the Business and Industry Night, and for being a guest here on the Shrimp Tank. And for all of those listeners at home, we'll see you next week.
I've been feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp